talking about market crash and 2019 pricing, we are right now in a place where we might be going into recession. A lot of people are talking about it. And when I went to the NBAA and I talked to all these private jet companies, they're like, oh no, our business, we're doing good. We're doing good. Business is an all-time high and we're doing good. Do you think in 2023, could the market go down? Could the demand for private jets with chartering, fractional, could it go down by any way? Or it would, stay the same, even with recession and everything?
Well, I mean, let's think about, from the very beginning, like the principle of owning a private jet is it's a depreciating asset. Like that's just how it is. By its nature, it's something that's worth less the more you use it, right? The more time I put on the engines, the less valuable the engines are. The older the avionics get, the less valuable it is. The more time I fly it, the more maintenance is going to need to be done on it. So it is a depreciation asset by its nature. So it should be getting cheaper, right? But it'll always kind of stay in a state where it's kind of calibrated, if you will. So I think we're going to find a new normal. I just read an article the other day that was saying how, jet prices will probably stabilize soon, but they'll still be elevated, like let's say 10% higher than they would have been if the pandemic didn't happen. Right. So, in 2019, 2020, you're looking at a citation 560 that's worth about $800 to $1,000 to $1 million. Now those are, 1.6 to 1.8. At the height of the market, they were almost $2 million. So, we're still elevated almost twice the value it was in 2019. I don't think it's going to go back down there. I think, however, we'll still be, a 1.3 to 1.6 plane, which is about 20% higher than it would have been if the pandemic never happened. So, in terms of what's going to happen, I don't have a crystal ball. I think the market will stabilize. I think you have manufacturers that have slowed down their production. So the brand new jets are not coming out as much as they were. You still have I read an article that 94% of the people that have been involved in private aviation plan to stick with private aviation. 60% of the people that were brand new to private aviation happened in the last, 2022. So now you counter that with sellers that don't have to sell. A lot of the guys that came to the market in the last 6 months were like, hey, if I get a number and I can take advantage of it, great. They don't have to sell. They like their jets, but if they can put a little extra money in their pocket and the number makes sense, great. So they don't have to sell. So the supply and demand tension that we're seeing right now is really unique because you have, a demand for jets, but they're not going to pay the elevated price, of $2 million that it was earlier this year. We've seen pricing come down, but the sellers aren't going to take less than a certain amount. So we find ourselves in a new stabilization period. Really this next year is just going to shake out of like, okay, what's going to be the new norm for pricing that we're going to see. So I think it's a good time to buy. I think it's a good time to buy because you're definitely not at the peak. I think it's a good time to buy if you need a jet. You should not be buying a jet for investment purposes to make money off of it. You should be buying a jet to create time for yourself so that you can make money with that extra time that you have. So I still think it's a fair time to buy. Obviously, we're recording this with 4 days left in 2022. This is the last opportunity for 100% depreciation. So next year it'll be 80%. And that's just a ticking time bomb. Like that's going to go to 60%, 40% year after year, the accelerated depreciation. So your plane's never going to be worth more than it's worth right now. And that, that's kind of what it was in 2019 and earlier. And I think we're back to that where your plane's never going to be worth any more than it is right now. So if you're a seller, now's the time. Also, you consider, the big body jets, they're probably going to take a bigger hit. Their sustainability and environmental consciousness is at an all-time, high, what people want. And so the jets usually kind of, they get knocked for having a big carbon footprint. So if you have a bigger jet, you're looking to downsize. If you have a lighter jet, you don't need the bigger jet. So like those light jets where I kind of dabble with a lot, is that demand, I think, is pretty much going to stay pretty strong. And what we are going to see is we're going to see a separation of professional brokers and guys who were just, in the right spot at the right time. A lot of charter brokers, a lot of charter operations, yeah, they're seeing the best business that they've had in years. But what are they going to do to capitalize and keep that? Because the market's going to get tighter. It's going to get more aggressive between professionals, and only the ones that are true professionals and really good at their craft are going to be the ones that survive. So brokers, agencies, charter operations, like those are the ones I think have more to lose than the end users.